So who am I? You just start questioning your identity because you start wondering, am I still the same person? The truth is, you are. You just have hypothyroidism. Hello there, my name is Daisy, and welcome back to these health diaries. If this is your first time on this channel, my name is Daisy, aka D, and I am a certified health coach who also has hypothyroidism. So I like making videos on how hypothyroidism affects you and what you can do to better your health even as you deal with the ups and downs of having a hormonal condition. And today I'm going to be talking about something that affects many people and something that has affected me. And what I'd like to say is that if you feel like you're not yourself anymore, this video is for you because I'm going to be covering what causes personality changes in hypothyroidism, what it feels like, and what you can do so that you can maintain your relationships. I also did another video last week on what causes apathy in hypothyroidism. It's related to personality changes, but it's just one part of the picture. So if you would be interested in learning more about apathy and what you can do so that people can understand what you're going through and for you to start feeling well, less apathetic, you can look at that video. So today I've decided to go with a warmer color. I am really down with a cold. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I am down with a cold. I have a headache. My voice is scratchy. I feel like my nose is about to start acting up. But we'll continue because, well, living with hypothyroidism has made me become very able to deal with anything that life throws my way. I mean, what's worse than waking up tired every day? Yeah. Okay, as someone who has already gone through a personality change that was very gradual, I just woke up one day and I realized that I don't really recognize myself. I don't feel like I am the person I used to be, and I don't even understand how it happened because, in truth, the process was so gradual that I did not even have time to understand what was happening. I just woke up one day and I was like, yes, I am Daisy, but I don't really feel like Daisy. I don't do the things that Daisy used to do. I don't feel the same way that Daisy used to feel. I'm just here. I still go by the same name. I still look like the same person, but I don't think that I'm still inside. It's like I'm trapped inside and the world is going on around me. And yeah, it was just a very weird experience. So if you're going through the same thing, you might be wondering what exactly happened to you and why do you feel so different? And I'll start with the first cause, and that's to do with your hormones. Because when you have low levels of thyroid hormones, especially your T3, you find that your neurotransmitters such as your serotonin and your dopamine get hit, and also your norepinephrine. And your serotonin is responsible for your mood regulation. Your dopamine is that hormone that gives you that motivation. And that norepinephrine, which I'm having trouble pronouncing, helps you stay alert. So if you just feel dull, it's because you're not feeling alert, you're not feeling motivated, and you're not feeling happy. So that's one of the reasons that you might go from being this bubbly person to being this person who's just like, yeah. Then the next one is your brain metabolism slows. And as someone whose hypothyroidism mostly affects my brain because I mostly get fatigue and difficulty concentrating. I know that the metabolism in my brain is very slow and it's made me question many things many times and also forget things like I'm doing right now. And when your brain metabolism slows, your brain becomes less responsive. So the way it processes information, the way it reacts, it affects your it affects your ability to feel engaged or connected. Someone may be talking to you, but you're just not there. And again, also that has to do with the reduced blood flow to your brain. Let's just say that your brain feels like it's offline and you're unable to process things the way that you used to. And as much as that will affect your concentration and your memory, it also affects your ability to engage with other people, which is, fun. And then we also have to deal with the long-term depletion. The longer that your symptoms go untreated, the more that your body has to compensate for the lack of energy. And usually, if your brain is choosing between two things, like one that's very primary to your functioning, for example, digesting your food or warming your body when it's cold, like now, and it has to choose between doing that and laughing at a joke that your friend has made, it's probably going to prioritize digesting your food or making sure that you're warm. And that joke will just, be a fleeting thought. So, personality changes and apathy are often used interchangeably. And as someone who has apathy, I know that apathy and personality changes can feel very similar, but they are not. With apathy, you're just emotionally numb. You're unable to react to situations the way that you used to. You just feel flat and unmotivated. It's just like you're there and things are just happening around you and you're not really able to react to them. That's just apathy. You're just there. And it's because your feelings are toned down, because you don't really feel angry the way that you used to. You don't feel sad the way that you used to. You don't feel happy the way that you used to. Whenever you're experiencing an emotion or whenever you're expected to experience an emotion, the way that you experience it is very different from the way that you would before. For example, maybe you used to laugh for maybe 5 minutes at a joke, and now someone makes a really good joke and you just go, that was nice. Yeah, that's apathy. But personality changes are different. Personality changes affect the way that you behave, the way that you respond to others, the way that you communicate with other people. Personality changes are the bigger picture because they affect the way that you relate to others, the way that you communicate with them, the way that you experience emotions, and they're usually at a much higher level than apathy. With personality changes, you might find that you're becoming more introverted and withdrawn from people, even if you are known as an extrovert or an ambivert. And so people who you would normally hang out with start noticing that you're pulling away, or maybe in conversations, like I've had this happen to me. I used to be a very talkative person, and if you see me here recording, you might think that I talk a lot, but in reality, I rarely talk nowadays. I don't talk that much, and sometimes I'll be in a conversation with my friends, and they'll tell me, yeah, we've noticed you're spacing out. I'm in the conversation, but I'm not really participating in it, and it's not because I don't care about what they're saying, but there's just that part of me that's just floating out there somewhere, and it's like this conversation is taking place outside in another world and I'm just watching it. And then with personality changes, you might find that you're less spontaneous and you're less funny. Like, you loved humor, you loved pranks, and now if someone tries to prank you, just wonder what the hell are they doing. Or used to be that kind of person who will wake up one Saturday morning and go on a road trip without making any plans. But right now, if someone tells you, oh, let's go and grab something at the store, you're not willing to go because that's so spontaneous. You mean you want me to leave my house and go to a store in the middle of the day without any notice? That's too much work. And I have experienced this because I used to be very, very spontaneous. I still try to be because I love traveling, but it's not the way that it used to be. It's not that spontaneous. I'm going to get on a random bus and just see where it goes. It's a bit more planned, and it's not because I've gotten older, but it's just because that part of me is somewhere in there, somewhere down below, and it needs so much help coming out. Now, the third one is the one that really affects relationships, because you start feeling less empathetic and emotionally available. And yes, I've dealt with these to some extent, because sometimes, because you're dealing with so much as someone who has hypothyroidism, and you're dealing with so much self-doubt, and you're dealing with so many symptoms that you cannot even understand, like your hair is falling out, your skin is so dry that nothing works on it. There's just so much going on, and you find that maybe you just try to spend the little emotions that you have on yourself. So when someone comes to you with an issue, maybe they're going through something very hard, you can tell that it's a very difficult situation, but you have trouble expressing just how supportive you are towards them and how much you empathize with them, because maybe someone comes to you and they tell you that they had a car accident. Okay, maybe not a major one, maybe they just bumped into something and now there is something wrong with their bumper. In a typical situation, you will be like, oh my gosh, what happened? Are you okay? How is the car? Does your insurance cover that? But like with up at the end, personality changes, you might find that you just care about whether they're okay. And if they're fine, then everything else feels a bit, it's okay. With personality changes and apathy, you might find that you're unable to express just how much you care about what happens to them. And there's that part of you that's maybe wondering about whether the insurance covers it and whether the bumper was really hit so bad. You care about those things somewhere inside of you, but you might find that what you're doing is just asking them, okay, are you fine? And they say yes, and then you go, okay, because you're only able to deal with the most significant part of the problem, and you know there is more to it. There is more to how they feel about it financially, emotionally, but you're not really able to access that part of you to just be very invested in that. Your mind almost is not there. You're not even thinking about your own problems with your hypothyroidism. You're not thinking about their problems. You're just emotionally flat, and it makes it very hard for you to engage emotionally with other people. If you've experienced this, I know it makes sense to you, but if you've not experienced it, you might wonder just why someone will be unable to communicate or even empathize with another person. But it happens. And the fourth one is that you're no longer as interested in the things that you used to love as you were in the past. For example, maybe you loved going to the beach and you'll be there every weekend in the summer. And now someone tells you, let's go to the beach. And you say, no, I'll just stay home, because you don't really want to go. You don't really want to do most of the things that you used to do. And somewhere inside of you, you can tell that you will still enjoy these things, but it's just very overwhelming to think about the steps that you will need to take to do these things. If you need to go to the beach, that means you have to pack a beach bag. That means you have to find a spot on the beach that's really nice. That means you have to think about where you'll keep your things when you're going to the beach. It also means you have to wear sunscreen. It means that you have to think about showering after. It means that you probably have to leave your town to go to the beach. Whatever stands between you and going to the beach starts feeling like too much work, and you just stop doing the things that you used to do. So eventually, if you're not doing the things that you loved doing, you're not communicating with people the way that you used to, you're not feeling things the way that you used to, you start feeling like you're losing yourself, because I'm not going to the beach anymore. When my friends have a problem, I'm not able to really empathize with them. And whenever I'm alone, I'm not really feeling anything. I watch things that I used to love and I'm not really feeling like I'm that invested anymore. So who am I? You just start questioning your identity, because you start wondering, am I still the same person? The truth is, you are. You just have hypothyroidism. So now let's talk about how it affects relationships. And that's not just friendships, but also romantic relationships. Because as someone who has had to restructure her friendships as I'm navigating hypothyroidism, I know that it has a really significant impact on relationships. So, what are these? The first one is that people start thinking that you're emotionally unavailable, and they start thinking that maybe you're rejecting them, or that you no longer care about them, or that maybe they did something bad to you. And in truth, they did not really do anything wrong to you. You're just not able to express your emotions the way that it used to, because you don't really feel your emotions the way that you used to. Yeah. So the more disconnected that they feel from you, they start feeling hurt. And sometimes they will express this, they'll write to you, they'll talk to you, they'll start asking what they did wrong. You know they did not do anything wrong, which is usually the hardest part to explain to someone. You're trying to explain to them that, no, you did not do anything wrong to me, and I'm not angry at you or disappointed by anything that you did. I'm just going through a very difficult time in this regard, and I need some space to deal with it, or I'm not able to show up the way that I used to, but someone else might not get it, and that results in a bit of a disconnect, and that can really strain your relationship. Next one is people misinterpret your actions or lack thereof, because when you're foggy and you're tired and you're just feeling flat and people are having a conversation, maybe someone comes to you and they're very excited about something, and that day you're just really at the end of it, like you're at the end of your rope. You don't have anything left to give. You're just waiting for the time that you'll end up getting into your bed and sleeping, because that's all you're able to do that day. So if they come to you with this good news, and you'll say, okay, that's really good news, and maybe they're expecting a really big reaction from you, but you're not able to give it to them. The same happens when they come to you with sad news and they're expecting maybe way more comfort than you're able to give. For example, the other day, a friend was going through something, and inside, I had all the right words to say, and I knew what to say and how to make her feel nice, but I could not really get it out. I was feeling very sad for her, but I was not able to get it out. The only thing that I was able to say was that I'm praying for you and you're in my thoughts. And I went to see her and I was able to be around her. And technically, people go in, they have many paragraphs, they have a lot to say, they have a lot of physical touching. Okay, that's something that you do. Maybe you hug someone, you keep patting them on the back because you want them to feel that you're there for them. But somehow there was just that space. I want to be there, and I was there physically, but emotionally, I was not really able to express myself the way that I wanted to. And I kept feeling very bad about it because I wanted to say more, but whenever it was my turn to speak, I had nothing to say other than I was keeping her in my thoughts and my prayers, and I was there to help in any way that I could. And that's the most that I could do. And when there's that disconnect, when you have someone who's understanding, they'll appreciate that you're there for them and that you're also saying these things. But if it's someone who really thrives on a lot of someone who thrives on a lot of affirmations, they might not understand why you're not as intense as they want you to be, and that can cause a disconnect, and they might start feeling like you're rejecting them or that you don't care. But in reality, you're there, you care, but you're not able to express that. Over time, your personality changes can lead to communication breakdowns, because on one side you're feeling one thing and on the outside you're not expressing that thing, and other people who are expecting a certain kind of reaction will not be getting it from you, and they might start maybe pulling away, or, which is the one that I don't like, it's even better when someone pulls away because it gives you time. They might decide to come at you and demand answers for your behavior. The thing is, some people might come at you aggressively and they might demand answers, they might demand explanations for the way that you're acting. And it's still very hard for you to express the way that you're acting because it's not coming from a bad place. It's because you're limited. I mean, we're talking about neurotransmitters. Your serotonin is down, your dopamine is down, and the one that I could not pronounce is also down. And that means that you're unable to be as responsive as you were. It's not you, it's not coming from you, but sometimes people don't understand that, and that's what causes the communication breakdown. On top of that, you also have difficulty remembering things sometimes, and you might have brain fog. And if you combine all of these things, it's going to be very hard for you to be the kind of person that you used to be, assuming you are very responsive and very emotional, and that can make people feel, well, like you're deserting them. Now, the other one that I've struggled with is the self-doubt and guilt, because you're not yourself, you're not showing up for people the way that you used to, and it might make you start feeling like you're letting people down. as much as what you're trying to do is survive and take care of yourself and make sure that you still have something to give to other people, you might start feeling like, oh my gosh, you're dropping the ball. And it might make you feel like maybe you're not being a good partner, you're not being a good friend, you're not being a good family member, because you're not able to be there, especially if someone questions the way that you're responding. Maybe they tell you this long story and you do not have the emotional bandwidth to engage with it, and they start saying, oh my goodness, you're just ignoring my story, or wow, is that all that you can say? And at some point you might start feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm the problem because I'm not reacting the way that they expect me to. But in reality, it's not you, but you'll still feel guilty at some point, and you might start doubting your intentions at some point. I've been there, I've doubted myself. Usually, you find that if you express what you're really going through to someone who cares about you, they give you space. They allow you to be just where you are, and they wait for you to finally get to a better place. And that means they start putting less emotional strain on you. But there are people who might not be able to understand what hypothyroidism is or why you need that space, and they might start piling on at a time when you really need more space. It happens. So, what can you do about it apart from listening to this amazing video? Okay, let's see what you can do. First, you need to get very comprehensive labs, because sometimes doctors just look at your TSH. Your TSH will just give you one part of the picture. You need to get the rest of it. You need to understand how much FT3 you have, your FT4 hormones. You need to be tested for antibodies if you have not been tested for them yet. And even during your regular checkups, your doctor still needs to be running a full thyroid panel, especially if they can include your reverse T3 in that, because the ratio of your free T3 to your RT3 is very important, because it helps explain some of the symptoms that you might be experiencing. For example, you might be getting your T4, like for example, I take levothyroxine, and that's a T4 hormone. If there's a conversion problem, you will know that by looking at my FT3 and my reverse T3. Yeah. So it's very important to get the full picture, because sometimes you might just look at your TSH and think, oh gosh, I'm optimal, but you're not. In reality, you might not be. Secondly, you need to get on the right kind of treatment for you. It takes a lot of work to finally get the right dose, because you need to start on a starting dose, and your doctor needs to be checking your labs and looking at your symptoms as you continue. That's usually every 4 to 6 weeks. And finally, when they find what works for you, you stay on that, and it might still change over time, because our bodies experience so many changes that can affect our thyroid activity, and you might find that you're still experiencing fluctuations even years after starting the medication. So if you can get on optimal treatment, that's good. You also need to support your neurotransmitters. We talked about dopamine and serotonin, and the one that I could not pronounce. And you can support them by taking supplements like B vitamins and magnesium. There are very many ways to support those neural pathways. But before you start supplementing, it's always good to talk to your doctor and make sure that you don't have any deficiencies that could also be causing your symptoms. Because sometimes you say that it's hypothyroidism that's causing these things, and yes, it can cause them. But sometimes you have other nutritional deficiencies that are causing your personality changes. Yes. I would also advocate for therapy. I know some people feel like it's a bit woo-woo, but it's very effective, because sometimes your personality changes are a result of your hypothyroidism plus another issue that you might not have dealt with that maybe you experienced in the past. And sometimes it's nice to talk to someone and look at whether your personality changes are resulting from issues from your past. Maybe you went through something and you never really talked about it, and now it's manifesting as a personality change, because there are many things that can affect your ability to communicate with other people and engage with them. And sometimes they don't really have to do with your thyroid function. And it will be nice to talk to someone who can help you explore those possibilities if they exist. But even if they don't exist, it's always nice to have a therapist. You don't have to go regularly, but it's nice to talk to someone about things that you might not always tell other people, especially like with hypothyroidism. There are symptoms that we experience. I mean, talking about the fact that you're apathetic and telling the people around you that you're apathetic and you just feel like you don't care, that's a bit hard. I mean, you have to at some point, but it's still a bit hard to tell people that because they start thinking that maybe you don't like them. But with a therapist, you can say it without having to find a nice way to package it. I would also say that you need to stimulate your brain activity using gentle pathways, using gentle approaches, like taking walks, exercising, listening to good music, watching good comedy. Just take time for yourself, even if it's just 1 hour a day to just work on yourself. That really helps a lot because you find that the more that you feel like you're supporting yourself, the more that you have left over to give to other people, which helps you build better relationships. And now, this is the most important one. You have to communicate with the people around you. They have to understand why you're changing and that you're not doing it because you have any grudges against them or you're angry at them or that you're disappointed by something that they did. Usually, people take stepping away or withdrawal as a sign that you're angry, and it's nice to explain to them that it's not because of them and it's because you're dealing with hypothyroidism. And you can also tell them how they can support you, maybe by giving you space. That really helps me and it helps many people. And you can also tell them that they shouldn't take it personally, maybe when you go for long periods without responding to them. And you can tell them, well, you can work with them to figure out what works for both of you, especially in a romantic relationship like a marriage. It's always nice to ensure that your partner understands what you're going through so that they don't feel left out, because that can be very isolating. It's not just for you, but also for them. And relationships, whether they are friendships or romantic relationships, they are two-way. You have to give and receive, and sometimes you give more than you receive, and sometimes you receive more than you give. But at the end of the day, you also have to play a part in the relationship because one person cannot hold down the fort. It's just too much work, no matter what kind of relationship it is. If you're dealing with hypothyroidism and you're looking for a natural and sustainable way to feel better and perhaps even lose weight as you go through this journey, I run a program called Better in 90, and it's all about sustainable and practical changes that you can make so that you can start feeling better and lose weight. I also have another one which is all about boosting your metabolism, and you can use it to start feeling more like yourself. And of course, even with these approaches, you still have to take medication. You have to optimize your treatment and make sure that you're supporting yourself through gentle approaches. But for the gentle approaches, you can always come to me and I'll teach you how to do that. That's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know today's video is a bit longer, but it's because this topic is a bit more nuanced than usual. And I wanted to make sure that I had covered all the ground. And I'd like to hear what your experiences are, if you've experienced apathy or personality changes, and what you've done to start feeling better, because I understand that it's a very tough journey. And thank you for being here. Please leave your comments below. And if you don't leave a comment, you can always leave maybe like prayer hearts or something. You can leave, I know what you can leave. You can leave that emoji of the apathetic face. It looks a bit like, I'll put it here and you can post it in the comments. Thank you so much and see you next time. Bye bye.